How are you?
Is that okay? How are you?
I'm fine. Grateful Dead. That's Bay Area.
It
What
is.
are
Are
you a
you
musician?
these most of these belong to my son.
Oh, I thought you were a musician. I'm like, we got a musician here.
Well,
But your name looks so familiar to me.
because I follow you on Instagram. I write
Oh,
comments.
I feel like yeah, okay. Well, how you doing, Agazarian?
Annette. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Inch Bestus.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of Armenians in California, eh?
Well, in LA, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there are. I'm in Montreal, actually.
Oh, Montreal. So, bonsoir.
Bonjour. It's still daytime.
Bonjour. Yeah, I just came back from France.
Yeah, did you like it?
I always like France. I always like France. We get along quite well, the French and I.
I'm with Montreal Rocks, so thank you for speaking with us. I listened to your album actually, and I have a lot of questions.
You live to talk about it.
Well, I've lived a long time, like
Me
you.
too.
Yeah, you've had a lot of different lives, haven't you?
Quite a bit.
Yeah. I like the fact that you were in music, you were out of music, you did different things, you came back to music. It's as if sort of like this album had to come out of you. This
Yeah, well,
story.
I mean, this album was more like I felt like it was. I think I just said it earlier in Europe. I was like, it's like a speeding train, and I could see that train coming once I discovered the story, and I knew that I needed to get on the train and let the train take me where it was trying to go, and just kind of. And this album, I think, out of more than any album I've ever made, I just stayed out of the way because it really wasn't my story to tell. This
Yeah,
is the story of two very courageous people in the
yeah.
1700s that made a decision under the most insurmountable, excruciating circumstances that you and I could never, ever imagine. So I feel like it wasn't really my story to tell, that I'm just a conduit. And this really is just a beautiful love story of strength and perseverance and courage.
Yeah. So how did you find out about Elizabeth? Like, was there a picture? Like, where did you said you didn't know about her until like last year?
Well, I didn't know about anything. I mean,
Oh,
this I finished my last album, of course, the whole album cycle. And it was my third Grammy in a row, and it was like, oh my God, three in a row, this is incredible. And everybody was, but I don't get too caught up in that sort of thing. I just think of what can I do really different. I think that on every album cycle. So it all started with a duet with Sting.
mm.
So he came over here and we recorded a song that I really liked. And I thought, yeah, now I'm going to hit up all my heroes, George Clinton, um, you know, who else? Stevie Wonder, anybody I could get to do a duet with me, Robert Plant. I was going to make it the most
Wow. Okay.
eclectic, everyone that I maybe met and they showed some interest in what I was doing.
Mhm.
So it's going to make this, and I had a title, but oh my God, Sting's manager hated the title. So anyway, but we did do a song. It was great. And I thought, let's keep this going. But then something happened.
Mm.
What do you think happened?
What happened was, was it in a photograph? Did you receive a
No,
photograph?
the
No.
pandemic happened.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I was thinking about your album, so I'm just
No,
thinking about like,
the pandemic just shut down the idea of albums, really. And I
okay.
couldn't really get in touch with anybody. My manager at that time, he was like, it's just hard to get people, and it just wasn't happening. People were freaking out because of this pandemic. So I just retreated back to my farm for about a year. I'm just on the farm. There's no gigs. No one knows, how you're going to live. I'm like, oh my God, I may be selling eggs. So I got a great phone call, and it was from a TV show called Black Lightning. And they said, hey, man, we love the song you did with E40, another legend who I did a duet with on my last record. And I was like, wow, this is great. Huge payday, fly to Atlanta. Only problem was there was no vaccine. Everyone was a little bit terrified. So I'm flying on the plane with 3 masks and goggles. I'm on a plane, you know, I do my usual, I'm really scared on a plane. So I get there and the protocol is just unprecedented. They're like, well, you got to stay in your hotel room. Don't go. We're going to test you every day. So I'm in the hotel room and there's a lot of time and I'm there with a laptop. Look out. So I never look at inboxes because I can't. They're just like, if I go to look at them, there's so many, I just never look at them. But this particular time, I don't know if it was one of the platforms, I was like, let me just look in the inboxes. So some of them, people are like telling me to fuck off. Some of them, I'm getting a lady showing me her breasts. And some of them, a dude is like, call me the N-word. I mean, some of them, I'm people want to leave me some money. I mean, it's like, it's crazy. I could do an album about my inbox.
Wow. Okay.
So it's something I never go into. And I happen to, I'm in this hotel with all this time. And I go all the way down and I see a message from a lady. Yeah, right. You're my cousin. I've heard that before. And so I have nothing but time. So maybe she's my cousin. So I'm uncovering all these links and stories and pictures. And it's like, wow, this is my cousin. And this is my father's side of the family, which I know nothing about. And I discovered that my father, everything he ever told me about himself was a complete lie.
Wow.
And the last name that I have, which is so interesting, is completely fabricated, completely made up. Yes. So I thought immediately, without thinking, white Jesus, black problems. I kept thinking that because I thought my dad, born in 1905, 33 years older than my mother, but you're born in 1905, you're a generation removed from slavery. So if you're intelligent and smart and brilliant and kind of progressive, that's trouble for you. So he made up this crazy story. So I had to swallow that pill and I thought maybe that's an album. You know, it was pretty emotional and I thought maybe I'll write about my dad, you know, facing, you know, this white supremacy. So he changed his name. But I kept looking and looking and looking because I had so much time and I got to my mother's side. I see these African-Americans dressed so elegant and they looked amazing. But the problem was the year was the time of slavery. So I was perplexed, like, why are they dressed so nice during slavery?
Oh, wow.
So I'm able to look and look as I have time. And it says on their census, register of free Negroes. I was like, what? Wait a minute, this is Virginia, the aristocracy of the Confederacy, you know, slave central. I have free blood. So I Googled free Negroes in that time period and it says just in Virginia, there was 50,000 of them.
Wow.
I thought, wow, I won the free Negro lottery, I guess. All right. So I didn't know what that meant, but I kept going back. 4th generation free, 5th generation free, 6th generation free. And for Black folks in America, that's impossible because it stops usually at the 3rd generation or 4th generation. So I get to the 7th generation and I just see that there's just a woman, but there's no married couple because all these couples were married.
Okay.
And so it says, Elizabeth Gallimore presented in Amelia County Courthouse in 1759 for unlawfully cohabitating with a Negro slaved, unnamed, and having several mulatto children. The Negro slave belonged to Henry Jones. So I'm like, I feel like the room is kind of spinning almost. And I remember I got up, I kept going to the balcony of this hotel and I could just see like the soil of Atlanta. I could just see, and the trees. And I thought, wow, they have stories to tell, these trees, you know, they live longer than us. And I had to call my PhD historian brother to help explain the document. So he was like, okay, indentured, she's an indentured servant. And we're like, wow. And then we both go, wait a minute, indentured servants were white.
Mm.
That's strange.
So you had no idea there was any white blood anywhere in your ancestry at
Well, I
all?
mean, I looked at my mother and I thought there's got to be some white blood. My mother,
Oh.
you know, looks pretty mixed. So,
Mm.
and I knew my grandmother's people. I looked at them and I thought, yeah, of course there's some white blood, but I just didn't know the story. I don't know if they knew the story. They never talked about it. I remember looking at my great, great, great grandfather, and I was pretty young, and I told my grandmother, is he white? And she goes, no, he's not white. And I did ask her when I was younger, why do they dress like that? Isn't that the time of slavery? And she did say, as she was making us biscuits, oh, honey, don't worry, they weren't slaves. She was like, they weren't. But I was young. I didn't know it.
Yeah.
I never really asked anything beyond that. And I guess people from the South, they don't explain anything beyond that. Those are one-word answers.
Well, also a lot of like ancestors or families that come from very traumatic and difficult backgrounds, they don't want to talk about it. It's painful, right? No?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how that would have been painful, but I thought that would have been a great story.
Maybe, yeah.
But I don't know. They weren't very, they were only vocal about how much they didn't like my father because he was 33 years older than my mother.
Wow, okay.
They were really pissed about that even till the end. But yeah, so wow, what a story. I mean, it still seems unbelievable to me. I still go back and read the same document.
Well, it's great that they have this information. I thought you did one of these ancestry.com, whatever.
I did. No, I did.
Oh, you did?
Where do you think the documents come from? They come from ancestry.com.
Okay, because I thought you got an email from a cousin who said we're related. So
yes, and
cousin had done an ancestry thing.
Yeah, but she was from my father's side and knew nothing about this. All she was trying to tell me was, hey, your father didn't tell you the truth. So that's one thing. I just started, my nature is to explore. So I started exploring, and that's where I found all this information, paperwork, so much. The English, man, they kept documents. They kept good records. So I found so many old papers regarding my family.
Wow. I've never done an ancestrything.com, but I don't think I will. I don't see the point because I kind of know where I come from. So
I thought I knew where I came from.
maybe I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
Hey, like I said, I'm not who I thought I was, but I'm exactly who I need to be. And discovering that information about myself has really changed how I view everything, how I view white people and black people and race and everything. It's just completely different. And it really gave me the inspiration to make a film, make an album. And I actually just finished an acoustic version of every song on the record, like upright bass, acoustic guitar, piano, playing brushes with the drums. Just it keeps inspiring me, the story, because it's a story of love. It's a story of courage. It's a story of perseverance. It's a story of getting something done. Man, I think that every day about this story. Like, we live in a world on the internet where you get on the internet and it feels like, especially in America, we live in a world where we can't get anything done. We can't agree on anything, that we're so entrenched in our, given ideology, our perspective, our ideology, that we don't hear each other. We just scream from one side of the aisle to the other, and not much gets accomplished in my view. But I think what makes this story so relevant now is here's a story of a couple that come from complete opposite sides of the spectrum, and under the, harshest conditions, boy, they got something done. And I love that.
They weren't legally married, right? Or because they weren't allowed, they weren't even, she went to jail, like she was imprisoned for being with your great-great-grandfather. You called him Grandfather Courage, And you didn't know his name, right? Did
It
he?
says, no, it says unnamed Negro slave that belonged to Henry Jones. Well, here's the thing is, I don't know if she went to jail. I think that we can only fill in. I think what happened is it says presented in Amelia County Court. So that means you are charged with unlawfully cohabitating with a Negro. All right. So when I found further documentation, it says Elizabeth Gallimore didn't show up for court.
Oh,
And I thought, that's definitely my grandma.
okay. She was
She
like,
ain't showing up. So
no.
she was gone for 9 years.
Oh,
Then finally she was presented, but she was charged 9 years earlier. So that's what it says. So of course I had to embellish on a lot of things. I just imagined in the film, like they go and they drag her and, and they get her. I used artistic license because I don't have all the facts. I just have this core story. And what it represents to me is just love, man. Like real love, like, hey, I don't care. There's these laws and these rules, and I know they're related to me when they said, I don't care. And I said, wow, now I understand myself a little bit more when I think of Elizabeth and Grandfather Courage. Grandma Elizabeth, I'm sorry, Grandma. You never call them by their first names.
but what do you mean by you understand yourself more? What did you understand more?
Look at my shirt. Everybody can't pull this off. Don't try this at home. You understand? And look at my vest and the way and my swag and the way. It's just that the way that I move through the world, even growing up, I was like being an alien. I always chose this fashion that nobody else would choose. I always would listen to this music. I mean, I knew doing a duet with Sting because I was a kid growing up in the inner city listening to the Police. A black kid, that was not a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And I always was a child. I was just different. And
well,
I think that comes from different people. I came from very different people. They were different.
So I guess like growing up in your home, your parents didn't really listen to rock music or anything like that then.
My dad was born in 1905.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Wow. So how old? 1905.
When he had me, he was 63 and my mama was 30.
Shit. Okay. Wow.
You hear me?
I heard
63 and 30. So they were just even that union, I'm the eighth of these 14 kids and I'm floating around, it was just a different trip. And I left home when I was 12 and I never came back. So I was a strange little person, I was a very strange little guy roaming the streets and sleeping in a bed.
Was that Massachusetts or in Oakland?
In Oakland. It happened in Oakland. As soon as I came to Oakland, I thought, okay, I'm home. I'm free now. Goodbye. Okay. I need the streets, man. I need it. I need that angst, that irreverent attitude, that counterculture, that I needed it. And I'm lucky I lived through it. I'm lucky I survived. And I've seen a lot of things and I've been through a lot, but in the end, I think that made me an artist.
Well, that's why you're a storyteller. You're a messenger. You're a vessel. And the stories, they don't just come to you for no reason. They're coming to you, and you need to create music for them and songs. I read somewhere that when you first heard about this story, that you had 50 tracks that you came up with, 50 songs approximately.
Maybe between 50 and 70. I don't know. I just kept on. Well, you got to remember this. I started off making, first I was writing these collaborative duets. So I had about 15 of those before. I was like, here's one for me and George, me and Sting, me and Stevie, me and Taj Mahal. I was just going. So I had a lot of music already because of that. And then it switched to, well, I'm going to write about my father and I, because, this whole idea of white Jesus, black problems. My father was, this kind of revolutionary guy who you know, was at that time was standing up to this idea of white supremacy. Like, no, I'm a person, I'm a man, I'm a human being, I have dignity, and most importantly, I don't need your help. And I love that part. I don't need your help, and that's what he was about. And then it turned into this. I found Grandma Gallimore and Grandfather Courage. So that's why there's so many songs.
Do the lyrics come to you first, or does the music come to you? Because like, what's the one? Is it Trudeau, when you're really like almost yodeling in the beginning, and you know what I'm talking about?
That's the spirit.
Okay, because that's like, I have monkey brain personally. Like there's always like a lot of thoughts going on in my head at the same time. And I speak like 4 languages. So I'm like, oh,
Wow.
I get it. So
What 4 languages? French, English?
I'm Armenian, and I
Armenian?
was born in Israel because during the Armenian genocide, my great grandmother from Turkey escaped Turkey and ended up in Jerusalem, and put my grandmother in a convent, in a Catholic convent in Jerusalem, to rescue her.
Wow, that's incredible. What a story. You need to make an album.
We have stories too. We have a lot of stories about my grandmother, my great grandmother, which I also like. I mean, I do have theories as well. We're all like Armenian, Turkish, white, black. I don't believe anyone has pure ancestry.
No one does.
It's like an illusion, you know?
Yeah, I was very surprised when I got my DNA test back. I'm everything.
You know what? Now you got me thinking about it, because like I have really frizzy hair, and I don't know. Like I think I look Armenian, but I don't know. You know?
Well, you know, it's a really simple test.
Maybe I should. Like I know my parents were born in Israel. Anyway, it's not about me. Well, I'll do it one day. I'll figure it out.
Try it out. It's easy.
But my dad spoke 6 languages.
Brilliant genius.
Well, he had no choice. He was an auto mechanic, but he needed to learn languages because he lived in different countries. And the more languages you spoke, the easier you could get a job, right?
Wow, so, what a hero.
Well, back to your, like, Trudeau, like when you start off that song, like that, I can't do it. What are you humming? Are you like, no, you know
I'm just, what
are you doing?
I'm singing a lyric. I'm singing a lyric. Maybe I'm, you know, sometimes I call that you let the spirit take you. You know, a lot of this album, it wasn't really me. It was just, I was on this train and it was just going. It's a strange album to me. I mean, when I listen back, I go, wow, this is a really strange album, and how fun and how free. It was like complete freedom and wisdom meeting up together. It's like freedom and wisdom. And it was an amazing combination. So I just let it take me. And I don't come up with anything first. It's very organic, and it all just happens. And I think that's why I have so much fun making these records.
Well, had there been no pandemic, and had you not checked that email, this album wouldn't be, right?
Wouldn't be.
A lot of good stuff happened because of the pandemic, to be honest.
A lot of great stuff.
Yeah, like a lot of stuff happened, not just, I mean, yeah, it changed a lot of things, the way we look at things, and it gave us a big time out.
Absolutely.
You appeared on my news feed 2 years ago somehow. I'll be honest with you, in Canada, well, in Montreal, a lot of people because your style of music, which I love, doesn't fit into a box. So like in a lot of like countries, there's like a rock station, a top 40 station. Do you know what I'm saying?
Thank God it doesn't. You know, what's funny is my story took me to Montreal too.
When?
I've never met them, but I found my crazy last name. You know what the original name was? Dphrepaulezz. Oh. So I have a cousin who's he's an entertaining singer in Montreal named Pierre Dphrepaulezz. He's like in his 70s now. But
wow.
Yeah, that's one of the things. And I've talked to him, but I haven't met him yet. But I just found him. So took me to Montreal.
Wow.
Pierre Dphrepaulezz.
You're not performing in Montreal on your tour. I'm disappointed.
No, only Toronto. I did it 2 years ago. I played at Montreal or something. Montreal Festival.
Mont Blanc, like up north in the country, kind of?
Yeah, I did a festival up there, but now I'm just doing Toronto.
I know, I'm disappointed.
Ah, come on, you guys, come on out to Toronto. How far is that anyway?
It's like about 5.5 hours drive.
Ooh, so it's like going from here to LA. I get it.
I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, it's not super close.
probably not fun either. Canada is a lot of snow right at that time.
Not now. Well, when are you coming to Toronto?
When am I in Toronto? June?
There's no snow in June.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Do you shop for your own clothes or does somebody shop for you?
Well, no, I go to secondhand stores and we take the clothes and we upcycle them.
Okay, cool. White Jesus, Black Problems, and even your name, Fantastic Negrito. You like to make people uncomfortable and you like to push buttons and you like to mix things up.
I don't know if I like to make people feel uncomfortable. They're probably just uncomfortable. I don't know.
No, not that you have a malicious intent to make people feel uncomfortable.
Well, I want people to think. When I made a Fantastic Negrito, it has to do with all the incredible Black music that came before me, the people that had no names, people that were in the fields, and people like greats like Robert Johnson and Skip James. Every time someone asks me about my name, that's what I can say. So I made that name up for that reason. White Jesus, Black Problems, I think the story is so powerful. It's gregarious. It's insane. It is uncomfortable that this title had to match the story. I don't know. I just like being an artist. I like being genuine. And maybe people care more about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock or how big Kim Kardashian's ass is. They care about that. I don't know. I care about like real things affecting real people. And that's why I became an artist.
No, I'm with you. I care about that stuff a lot more too, which is why I love, well, you're not a new artist. I didn't just discover you, but I love discovering new artists. I love speaking with you.
I'm pretty new. Since 2015, I'm pretty new. But yeah, I'm like an old guy that's new.
You're like your clothing. You're vintage and you upcycled yourself.
Yes.
And you reinvent.
Absolutely.
And you've got white blood and black blood and
everything.
And that comes out in your music too, because like I don't compare artists to other artists, but I love people like Jack White and like Beck and
love those guys.
Yeah, people that you can't describe, like indescribable musicians. Those are my favorite.
That's what it's all about, exactly.
Well, you're like I put your album on. Well, I didn't put it on, but I listened to it, and I got Beatle vibes, and I got psychedelic vibes, and I got
there you go
Brown vibes, and I got Black Sabbath vibes, and
hell yeah,
all the fucking vibes.
Come,
right?
come see us in Toronto. Thank you for having me.